Just to kind of give you an update where I am. So I'm working on the red, right? And I decided that my base color was just way too light. And I've gotten out a little bit of a darker color. And I've tried to lighten up his head and kind of made a mess of things, but we'll fix that in a minute. His little patch here, I did 2 colors of green, and my second green wasn't really dark enough. I don't really have good colors to match the color that I wanted. So what I did was I took a little bit of gray and I put that in the dark area, and then I covered over with my light green again. And some of these really darker areas, I don't have a good red, so I made a decision to use brown. I could have used blue or gray. I chose a dark brown, and I kind of put that in there. And now I'm going to take this marker, which is a little bit darker than this base color, and I'm going to kind of blend all of this together. And I'm going to go over the whole thing. So I'm going to go over the light colors I've already colored, and I'm going to go over those dark colors that are supposed to be my shadows. And I'm going to get everything a good solid wash of this new red that I'm introducing here. Okay. And, you know, circles. Circles are good, so you don't see any lines. It's good and solid and juicy. Right? And, you know, I'm using this thing to color on because it goes right through, right? It's going to go right through the back. And you don't want to get marker everywhere. So if you're coloring in a sketchbook or something, make sure you have some sort of piece of acetate, plastic, whatever, right, to put down so that you're not bleeding through all of your pages in your notebook. All right. And the more I go in circles over kind of the edges, right? I'm coloring here on the edge. And the more I go in circles here on the edge, the better it's going to blend together. Okay. Get this all blended. Okay, so I'm finishing up Grumpy here, and I've got all the red done, and I've got a little outlining going on the patch. I've got all the skin tones done. I used a gray and a blue on his beard to get the details in there. And I have these little spots here where I got some black ink, and I'm trying to go over them with a little colored pencil to try and hide those spots. And it's actually being really stubborn. More stubborn than most. Usually I can do it with a color pencil, usually covers, but it's not cooperating tonight. So I've used a little bit of white that helped a little bit. Come in there with another marker, and then I've got a color that's a little bit lighter for his hat. So you can see here, I'm going to kind of outline his hat a little bit with this white marker, and I came into his nose with the blender, and I just kind of smudged around with the blender for a while until I got it lighter and the color that I wanted. And of course, I don't have to come in here and do this lighter color. I just kind of want it to look a little more defined. And then once I'm done with this, we just need to add a background. And he's done. So at this point, I need to decide if I want to outline him or not. So while I've been gone, I got my new markers, and I did get some skinny ones, and I was using them to outline a little bit. So I took one of these brand new markers that I just got. See, nice small tip here, and I outlined his face so that it's a little bit more defined, and it looks okay. I don't know if I really like it though. I'm thinking maybe I should go in with black and outline them all in black. It just kind of cleans up the lines, some of the rough lines. I think I want to add the background first, and then I can decide if I want to outline it in black. So for the background, I looked up some pictures, and I saw some backgrounds where they had their little house in the background and kind of a tree stump with an axe in it for chopping wood. So I thought I would put something kind of like that. I mean, there's not a lot of room back there, but something like that. So I'm going to come up with something like that, and I'll show you when I come up with it. All right, so I gave him a little background. He's got a little block of wood over there with an axe on it, a little stack of wood behind him, and then some trees back there. Just, you know, not too much, not too overpowering, just to kind of set the seed for him. So the very last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my white pen and I'm going to add some highlights. He needs a highlight in his eye for sure, and then anywhere where it's supposed to be really white. So I may follow along like in the image and put some little lines on his face. I'm going to reference the image and see which bits of it I want to use and which I want to leave out, and I will show you that last step. So Grumpy in the picture has, I lost it again, actually has quite a bit of white on him, and I'll show you if you can see. I don't know if you can see that in the screen, but he kind of has some white around the edges here, and he's got the little highlight in his eye. I'm definitely going to put the highlight in his eye. So I have my white pen. I want to make sure it's going to write first, and it's writing just fine. Put a nice little highlight in his eye to give him a little bit of life. And before I even do anything else, you can just see that just that little tiny highlight kind of made all the difference, right? And I think maybe a little bit on his eyebrow here. And he's got just a touch on the top of his eye, and a little more in this eyebrow. And he's got some on the edge of his beard here. I'm going to add some of that in there. And he's got a lot on his face and kind of around his nose and stuff, and I think I just want to add a little bit of that. Not all of it, just a bit. To give it a little bit of definition. I know his hands are pretty white. I think I'm going to leave the rest of it alone. I think that's good, actually. So here he is, and I think he's all done. I don't think I'm going to outline him in black. I think he looks just fine. He pops off the background pretty well. And don't forget to sign the front of your card. And there it's all signed, and Grumpy's done.